no one's soccer path, it doesn't have to be linear. It doesn't have to go through these like marks of success to get to the highest level. Maybe you're not starting out at the highest pro level, but that doesn't mean that you can't get there someday.
We might laugh, we might learn, we might be your games with
Hey guys, welcome back to the SoccerGirl Pod. In this episode, we're talking to Racing Louisville and U.S. Women's National Team forward Emma Sears. In just her second year in the league, Emma has already established herself as one of the league's most exciting young players. Emma is also one of the best national team debut stories ever. She made her senior national team debut in October last year against Ireland, where she scored and had an assist, the first player to do that since Kristen Press achieved it.
We talked to Emma about that debut, the bravery it took for her to step away from the game in order to love it again, and what it's like to not only have a twin, but to play against them in college.
That's so cool. And also probably terrible for their parents, but I like that. Can you tell us what was that like when you got called into your first camp? Were you expecting it? Were you surprised? What was that feeling? And did you get a call? Is that how it worked?
Yeah, so I definitely was not expecting it necessarily. Up until October, I was having a good rookie year, and I was just kind of, going through the highs and lows and just trying to gain as much experience as possible. But growing up, I had never been called into any youth national team camps or anything like that. I never had exposure to the system at all. And some of my club teammates growing up, I had heard that they had been going to youth national team camps, and I was just never in that pool of players. And so I was definitely surprised to get the call up. It's funny, it was one of our off days, and I was out shopping at Target, and my manager called me from racing, and it was such an unexpected phone call. I was like, oh my gosh, what did I do? He just had told me, he was like, I have some exciting news. We got an email that you made the provisional roster for camp. So that's the roster that they send out with a bigger pool of players, which they then narrowed down to the final roster. And he had noted that the final roster would be coming out in a week's time from the provisional roster. And since that was my first experience with anything, I was so stoked to even have made the provisional roster, but I also didn't even really know what that meant for me. But just to have my name even in the conversation, I was just super excited about that. And then a week after that, I was staying in close touch with my agent and my manager and my coaches on racing, and they had some conversations with the national team staff. And then I got the news that I had been called into the October camp. The camp was a little bit overwhelming for sure. I didn't know what to expect at all. I had kind of reached out to a few of my teammates just to kind of get some inside scoop of what to look out for and what to expect. But with so many new staff members, it was just kind of new to everybody. It was so awesome just to even be in that environment and to learn from the coaches. They're so knowledgeable, and they call themselves soccer junkies. They're constantly watching the game. And yeah, I just feel honored to have the opportunity to continue to learn and grow from them.
You bring up a really interesting point, saying that throughout playing youth soccer, you were never on any of those developmental teams that had to do with U.S. soccer, and maybe you had teammates or other athletes in your kind of hemisphere of soccer that you saw were on track for that path. I feel like that's very common with soccer girls today. Even some girls that are on one team and their friends are on an ECNL team, and they feel like they're not on the right track to being able to play in college and stuff like that. So I'm just curious, how did that feel when you were a youth athlete, and did you play the comparison game, you versus girls that were kind of on those developmental teams and stuff? And then what do you think made you someone that they picked? What separated you despite the fact that you hadn't been down that very typical developmental pathway?
And I don't know if growing up, I really had time to think about the fact that I wasn't getting called into youth national team camps. I obviously was wondering how I could get into that pool of players. I was on an ECNL team and club, which I feel really helped with my development. I would say what kind of started to set me apart was just the extra work that I kind of was starting to put in, especially when I was getting recruited for college. And then even during my college years, I think that that's when my game really started to level up. And so I would say just that no one's soccer path, it doesn't have to be linear. It doesn't have to go through these like marks of success to get to the highest level. I think for me, mine was super just not the norm. But I would say I just stayed the course and I trusted the process and I believed in my coaches and what they saw in me and what they believed in me. But yeah, I think the biggest thing was just kind of controlling what I could control.
I love that. And I think it's so important to highlight not the normal routes to getting to the U.S. Women's National Team, because it's so true. Every journey is different. And it's really good just if you're listening and you feel like maybe you're not on track to something, or you don't feel like you're going to the school at a high enough division to play in the professionals, that there are always ways to get there if you want it bad enough. So
yeah, definitely too. And also, like, I just think now with the game growing so much in a positive direction, there's so many different outlets for girls to pursue their professional career. And maybe you're not starting out at the highest pro level, but that doesn't mean that you can't get there someday.
Can you tell us about your first cath? I know I've heard you talk about it before, but it was so cool. Did you expect to have such a successful first game? You had an assist and a goal, which no one's done since Kristen Press, which is so amazing. To be compared to someone like that, which I mean, you're incredible. But what was that? What was that debut like?
I feel like Emma does a good job of communicating that she's going to give people opportunities when she sees fit. And so for me, having been at the game in Austin with the team on the sideline, it was such a pinch me moment. And I didn't play that game, but I just was like, wow, I can't believe I'm sitting on the sidelines at a women's national team game wearing a jersey. This is so insane. And then when we were in Nashville, I didn't have, an expectation of going into the game, but obviously I was so excited when she called me over to the sideline, and I remember her just being like, have fun out there, embrace this moment. And for me personally, I was just kind of racking my brain to remember what I had learned throughout the week, because it is pretty specific of what they're expecting in each of our roles during games, and especially just kind of based on the opponent. So I was like, okay, don't mess up when you go in there. But yeah, it was so incredible to have had my debut, and then to have scored my first international goal and have an assist. It's something that I'll just never forget, and it's a moment that I reflect on so often because it was one of the best moments, if not the best moment in my career thus far. And yeah, that's just something that I'll always be chasing now, is that feeling and that opportunity. But yeah, it's something that I'll never forget.
Yeah, you set the bar very high for yourself, but that's a great feeling to chase. And I love how we've interviewed a few players recently who've talked about what Emma says to them before they get on the field. And I feel like that's such a testament to her as a coach. What she says to you right before, that's something that's sticks with you. And you did. It looked like you had fun, which is such a great thing to do on the field that a lot of us forget to do. You get so wrapped up in what you need to do right, and when you do something wrong, putting your head down. But if you just have fun, it's it shows, which is so awesome. Yeah. Did you always have a joy for the game? Was there any moments in your career, or when you were in high school or college, where maybe you doubted if you wanted to continue playing, or had a situation where maybe you were challenged?
Yeah, for sure. I do think that there are always challenges that kind of come up along the way, but I think that it goes to show a lot about you as a person and a player, how you kind of navigate those. After my senior year in college, I decided that I didn't think that I wanted to continue playing or pursue a professional career. But looking back on it now, I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that I honestly just didn't have a lot of resources or information about the next level, which I think is changing a lot now, which I do think is super important for young players who are looking to continue on and pursue a professional career. But for me, I just didn't know what that was going to look like. And I think that that's kind of where the doubt started to seep in. I just didn't know if I had what it took to continue on in my career. And I think another thing too that is important to highlight is when you enter your professional career, a lot of the times you are a standout player in college or on your club team, and then essentially you have to kind of climb the totem pole again, unless there's a space open for you in a roster or on the field, and that's a good opportunity for you. But for me personally, I just was kind of questioning if I was going to be able to handle kind of going through those phases to the top again. And thankfully, I am in the position I am now. I'm so grateful that I decided to come back to the game. But just to answer your question, I think that was definitely a huge moment for me that kind of stood out. But then the bigger challenge was when I stepped away from the game and I was like, what am I doing with my life? What am I supposed to do now? Because soccer was such a huge part of it ever since I was little. But I think that it gave me a unique perspective of just having some time away and missing the game and missing competing and missing my teammates and all the things and scoring goals. And I think that at the end of the day, I just appreciate it so much more now, and I wouldn't want to be doing anything else. So
It's so interesting because people are so scared to step away from the game. Like, even if they're having, they're on a team that's super toxic or they're not blending well with the coach, like the thought of stepping away even for a little bit to like re-get your footing is super scary for people. But it's really cool that you were in the position you're in now, or someone that stepped away from the game for a little bit and got a new perspective on it. It's just a really good reminder that, like, if you really in your heart of heart want to keep playing, like, you'll have that itch even if you step away. It's not like you can't come back once you step away. So I think that's really cool. Shifting that perspective can be huge. Throughout your playing career, I'm curious, what tools have you used to be confident in moments where you don't have the right to be confident? Like, for example, like a first camp. Yes, you have the right to be confident because, of course, you got invited to something that only the best get invited to, but there has to be that a little bit in your brain that's wondering, like, can I handle it? And I'm just curious, how do you either silence that little voice in your head, or how do you maintain your confidence through that?
it's important to always kind of reflect on what you are good at. There's a comparison game and everything like that. I think it's important to just kind of center yourself and come back to why you are in the place that you are in. And I think that especially getting invited into new environments such as the national team camps and everything like that, it can be super intimidating just because you are surrounded by players who are the best of the best. And to be new in an environment like that, I think it's really easy to kind of float into the background and I guess kind of shy away from the opportunity. But for me, I knew that it was potentially a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that I needed to take advantage of. And so I think just also leaning on the people that you trust is something that I really found helpful during those moments, because it was just that reminder that I felt like I needed. And I think that just kind of silencing, people are always going to have opinions, you know, and so just reaching out to those that you trust, I think, is super helpful.
Who would you say had the biggest impact on your soccer journey?
I think there's been so many little tiny pieces of the puzzle that have just kind of created what I am now. I would say honestly just my club coaches and my college coaches are what come to mind initially, because of just the countless hours that I spent with them, and even off the field, just questioning what's next for me in my career and everything like that. But I think that their wisdom and guidance through those times just kind of helped me stay committed to the game and just working hard to continue improving my own.
It sounds like you've had a lot of good coaches throughout your life. Was there ever a coach that maybe you didn't get along with, or maybe didn't believe in you, or is that something that you always found that you were able to have a good relationship with your coaches?
I do feel very lucky in that sense, because I don't think that it's uncommon for people to have challenges with their coaches growing up, or maybe it's not a perfect fit, which I think is totally normal. I would say my club coach had the biggest impact on me on both sides of the spectrum. We definitely went through our hard times and our challenges, but he always wanted what's best for me. And I think that he made me tougher. I have tough skin from him. To anybody who is experiencing a coach that they may not get along with, I would say just to question if they want what's best for you. And if you can answer that yes, then I think, kind of stay the course with them. But if that's a difficult question for you to answer, then I think that it's totally okay also to find a new team or a new route, but don't let it get you down for sure.
I love that because you're not always going to blend with the coaching style or the way they're verbalizing things to you or the way that they're communicating, but the intentions of their communication should be clear, and you should have an idea of if that person is developing you and wants the best version of you or not, for sure. I love that.
Definitely.
You mentioned your sister earlier. You guys are twins, right? And you both played soccer growing up. What was that like? Were you guys competitive with each other? Were you always supportive of each other? Did you want to go to school together? Like, what was that like? It must have been such a cool experience.
It definitely made us closer growing up, I would say, for sure. We played different positions, so I've always been a forward. She was a defender, and it pretty much stayed like that all throughout our soccer careers. It was a bonding experience for us, especially in club soccer. We played high school soccer as well, which was super fun. It got to a point where we were deciding what colleges we wanted to go to. I think that just based on the opportunities, it was best for us to not continue at the same college, but I think that was like the biggest blessing for our relationship, because I think that we just got so much closer when we kind of had that separation. As like twin sisters growing up, we did everything together and we were always close because of that. But I think that when we kind of established our own lives separate from each other was when we were able to really come back together even closer. So she went to Miami of Ohio, and I was at Ohio State, and my freshman year, we played Miami in an out-of-conference game early on in the season, and we played against each other for the first time ever. And because she's an outside back, she marked me the whole game, which was
That's
so
crazy.
funny. Yeah. And it was actually so frustrating because we know each other so well, so I felt like she knew exactly what I was going to do and vice versa. And so I felt like we didn't really have, like, a big impact during the game because we were just like shutting each other down. But yeah, that'll definitely go down as like one of our best soccer memories probably. But
Like, how do you not be like illegally aggressive versus your own sibling? Like,
I felt like we were like chirping each other the whole game too. Like we were just like talking. I've never told my coach that, but
Who won?
Ohio State did. Yeah, I'll
You got that. Yeah, I was gonna say you had that little piece. That's funny. Was there any players that you grew up or look up to now, whether it's on the national team or on racing or anything? Like, is there anyone like specific that comes to mind?
Yeah, I would say like Mia Hamm always had a huge impact on me, and just like her dedication to the game. And there wasn't like a huge outlet to watch soccer growing up, but the national team was always around. Just players like Alex Morgan and Tobin Heath and players like that I always looked up to. And now playing in the NWSL and crossing paths with some of the national team players that I'd watched for so long, it was so surreal, but also just so cool. Like I remember one of my first games with racing, we were playing San Diego at home, and Alex Morgan was still playing at the time, and she was standing on the field, and I was like, this is so bizarre. Like, I'm standing right next to her. But it was so cool.
That must be wild.
Yeah, it was wild.
That's very cool. Alana, anything more before we get into rapid fire?
well, let's do it.
All right. What's an Olympic sport you would not come last in?
Maybe like a sprint race, something like that. Something on the track and field. Yeah.
Cool.
All right, on away game trips, what's one thing you have to have with you when you travel?
Probably my headphones or my speaker. Some good
Speaker for like your hotel room? Like, are you blasting music for it? Nice.
Music.
Yeah. What are you listening to?
That's a good question. I love country music, but for a pregame, it's usually some sort of rap, like something to hype me up before the game.
Cool. If you could have dinner with any athlete, who would it be?
Sydney McLaughlin. I just think she's so cool.
That's a good one. We haven't had her yet.
She's just so cool to me. I'm like, wow, you're an icon.
All right, and what's one food that you could eat every single day but never get sick of?
I think I would say sushi.
That's my answer too.
Yeah.
Is it?
That's just
Sushi for breakfast. If I bring take home, I'll have it the next morning. I am crazy.
I love sushi.
That's a good one. What are you doing on an off day? You have the day completely off. No rehab, nothing. What's your ideal off day?
My ideal off day, hopefully it would be during the warmer months of the year. So I would wake up, go to a coffee shop, maybe read my book a little bit, and then hit the pool and tan outside. And then I think I would probably go to yoga sometime in there. I love yoga, especially on off days. And then go out to dinner with my teammates.
Sounds perfect. To sushi, of course.
Yes, of course.
Every time we ask that question, I just realize we're just all girls on this planet who just like want a good coffee.
It's insane. It's crazy.
Day starts with a good coffee. Like, nothing can go wrong.
All right, what is one reality show that you'd want to be a guest star on?
I'm a huge Love Island fan,
Me too.
but that's tricky for me to answer if I'd want to be on the show.
Yeah.
I think I would still do it just to kind of experience what they go through. Like, I do think that they have such a good setup.
All right, our last question. What is your biggest soccer girl problem?
I think it's my game day hair. I have
What?
curly hair,
Mm.
and sometimes it's hard to tame. And I usually straighten it before games, which definitely helps. But especially when we were today,
What's the preferred style to wear it?
probably a ponytail, like a slick back ponytail. But when we travel to Florida, my hair does not do well with the humidity.
Day. How's it on a humid day? Yeah.
Curls are coming out. That's a good one. Well, Emma, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate it. And it was great to get to know you more. And we're just so excited to watch your career because we know big things are happening for you.
Thank you, guys. Thank you so much for having me. This was so fun.
Okay, guys, that's it. Thanks for joining us. We want to hear who we should interview next and what we should talk about. So DM us, tweet us, email us, all that. And make sure you subscribe to the pod. Enjoy.
Soccer girls, you know we got some problems. So tune in, know where we talking how to solve them. We might laugh, we might learn, we might be your king.